I'm just coming to realizations to so many things. It kind of feels paralyzing at times. And I question every thought that crosses my mind to the point where I feel like I'm going crazy.
All you need to do is see that. See that you're going in and out of it. And seeing it is changing it. Oh. This call is so deep that I can hardly stand it. This is one of the deepest calls I ever had from a woman. Jasmine, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
I haven't been able to cope with my very strong independence, and sometimes I see a problem and I have to fix it, or I have that type of mentality, and it just comes out too naturally. And so I see myself that I don't catch my thoughts, and I don't know what else to do, because I am doing the silent prayer at night and in the morning, and sometimes I do it during my day. But I have forgiven my dad, and we've had a beautiful reconnection. And I've forgiven my mom, but I do see how she has a lot of things she has to work on, and I do live with her, and I distance myself from her as much as I can to avoid any, trying to interfere with what she's working on or what she's doing. But I just have a problem when it comes down to, I don't want to use the word humble myself, but I'm very to the point where I don't talk or associate to no one, to just keep out of people's way, and for me to be out of people's way as well, and for them to be out of my way. Does that make sense?
Right. I understand what you're saying, yes. How old are you?
I'm 29.
And why are you still living with your mother?
Well, I was living on my own, and I moved back in because, they just asked me to move back in. It was going to save me money. And that's another thing. I don't need to save money. I make very good money. And when I went through the awakening part of it, I was ready to let go of everything. I just wanted to walk out of the house with, I felt like I was going insane at that moment, because I realized everything that I was living, it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't me. And I see what you mean about women, how we're emotional, and how, to be honest, I feel like I grab myself into money, hustle type of mentality.
Right.
And I go to the gym, and I go to the gym a lot, and I used to do bodybuilding, and I realized how much of an ego I was to myself. Like, I made myself my own God in a sense. And I even stopped going to the gym for a while, because I was so, I realized what I did was wrong, and how I built myself up that way. And I know it's not me now.
Right.
And I don't know how to, there's moments where I don't know how to walk from here. I realized so many things. I was going into lesbianism. I was just heading the wrong way. Completely. And I realized that, and I see it now. It's because women are so emotional, it's so easy to relate to them. And I would admire women and how beautiful they were. And I was I can take care of you. I can, I was getting into that mentality. And now that I'm getting out of it, I also see there's a moment in my life now that I see where when I get men's attention, it automatically kind of makes me want to, be aggressive. And not aggressive, it's more I get so much anxiety and defensive. I know what you want from me. These are thoughts that get in my head, and I don't know how to deal with that in the moment. And I just shut down.
And when you see men doing that, looking at you, you know what they want. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's just, I see the same thing in men, they sexualize you a lot.
Yes.
Yes. And it's just aggravating to me, because I can get that. Okay, so I was with a guy, and he tells me, we were doing this business transaction, and I'm telling you, I'm so into business. That's my ego, that in the gym. And I was doing this business transaction with him, and he's like, we can have a little fun on the side. And I'm like, I don't need that from you, especially if we're doing business.
Yeah.
To keep it, business. I don't need that from you. I could get that anywhere and from a lot of different people. And this guy, we ended up getting married, but because of legal reasons, not because we were together.
Right.
But it was just like, I didn't like the fact that he was putting that on the table when he knew that the first thing on the table was business. And like messing with that side is just messing with each other's emotions and stuff. And I know I'm a woman, and it brought me aggravation to know that he knows I'm a woman and that I can be emotional, and mixing anything sexual with business would cause conflict.
Yes. Yes.
And like, are you really that stupid that we have to, you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
yeah, but let me say this to you. Let me say this to you. The clock is running out, this call is so deep that I can hardly stand it. This is one of the deepest calls I ever had from a woman. And I want to talk to you about the whole thing, but especially that when guys look at you, you can see that they're sexualizing you, and you don't like that. Every woman hate that. Every woman hate that. But what they do, some take it and they control the man with it because they see his weakness. But others don't.
I see that. Yeah.
So
I see that. And like, I even had a girl coaching me, and I'm like, look, I don't want to take advantage of guys, but guys keep trying to take advantage of me. So show me. And I see that that's wrong too. So yeah. I cut her off. I'm like, you know what? No, you are not good. I want to stick to who I am.
This is such an amazing call. Can you call me tomorrow for sure? Thank you for calling back.
Good morning.
Good morning. And so yesterday we were talking about how you was like lost at one point. You were bodybuilding and you had money and did all this thing and all that. So take it from there.
Well, yeah, my question was more like realizing that I had a lot of anger and resentment towards my parents.
Yes.
How do I move forward when it comes down to like relationships? And I know that we're not supposed to have like actual relationships with anyone. It's just encounters or, situations where you have to, coexist with people.
Right.
And that's what I struggle with the most, specifically with guys. I have this anxiety that builds up, and I'm not sure what to do from there.
A good question. The one, before I get to the one point you made yesterday was a powerful point, and that amongst many you made. And when you said that when these guys look at you, you can see that they're sexualizing you. That is not about you. It's just about the sex. And I've had so many women around the world to tell me that over the years. Jasmine, so first let me say that the reason when men look at women like that and they sexualize the woman, and the woman knows it too, and I can tell now they know it even more so they can walk around half naked now. The men, every male hates his mother, and what it does, that hatred, which is false love, awaken his sexual appetite. And he can only see the woman as sex. He doesn't see the real person. He cannot see until he forgives his mother and then return to his father. And the same thing for women, too. Women are not as into sex as men are. They're like sex dealers, but they're not as into it. But he can't help it until he forgives his mother and overcome that spirit and return to his father. Then he will see all people, men and women, the same. They will see the person. They wouldn't be looking through the dark eyes of the imagination. And so I've heard this from women so long now, and I totally understand it. But the way to overcome it, all this, Jasmine, the anger, you got to forgive your mother for imposing her will on you, trying to live through you, turning you away from your father. And that's why you're back at home now, because mama is not going to let you get away from her, and you're not going to be able to get away from her until you overcome her. You got to forgive your mother and forgive your father for not protecting you from her. He can't handle your mother. He's afraid of her too. So he sacrifices not only his own life, but his children's life to the mother.
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about, was it the right choice to move back in
No.
at moments because I didn't need the money and things like that. It's just, now that I'm here, it's either way. Now that I see it, it's either way. Like if I stay or if I go, I still have to deal with that.
Yes.
You know? And
yes.
that's where I'm at right now because sometimes, for example, I smoke weed, and I've always smoked weed every once in a while. And I smoked weed when I used to be by myself, and I used to drink a lot. But she never noticed it because I always kept my things to myself when it came down to stuff like that. And when she started noticing, she kind of tried to call me out on it, and I told her, like, this is my life. And, like, I kind of just told her to back off. And a couple of days ago, I smoked weed again. I was going to go to the gym, so I decided to smoke weed. And I go into the house to get something to drink, and she's, like, sniffing around. Like, she knows that it smells like weed because I smell like weed. And it just, those little moments, I don't say anything to her, but I notice it, and I don't know how to, like, is it wrong to not deal with it and be quiet about it? Or am I being a hypocrite? Like, those are the moments that I'm kind of like, how do I live around that? How does it not affect me?
The only way that is not going to affect you, the only way, no other way, is that you must face her, forgive her. I'm sorry, Mother, for resenting you for what you've done to me. I realize now you can't help it. Just as you can't help yourself to feel the way you feel and, you know, the stuff you've gone through, your mother cannot help herself. And that spirit of evil has been passed on to you when you were born through her. And the only way that you're going to deal with life in a perfect way, you got to start working on you. And it definitely sounds like you want to and start doing that. But you got to face her, forgive her, and then go to your father and forgive him for not protecting you.
Yeah, I actually did do that. So my sister, she listens to your show all the time, and she's actually the one that introduced me to you.
Oh, okay.
And she took me to my dad, and I thought I did, but I had a lot of pride and a lot of resentment still because I had built my own life. Like I, kind of raised myself basically in a way. And when I actually realized where I was standing and what I had done and how far I had gone, I went into suicidal thoughts. And like I knew in the past my dad, because my mom, when she left them, he was suicidal and things. So I went to him and I spoke to him about everything, and we talked about everything. He actually, the first time I went to him, he laughed it off that he didn't have to apologize to me, that he didn't do anything wrong, that I had chosen to leave. But this time around, when I openly spoke to him about the situations that were actually building up in me, and I pretty much talked to him freely, like I never talked to my dad like that before.
Nice.
And he's like, I realized that I was wrong, and he started crying, and like I never seen my dad break down because of me for something like that. Like he would break down because my mom broke his heart, because like my mom was wrong, and like it was always about my mom, always about her. And I told him like, why did you love her more than you loved God?
Nice.
And yeah, and these are things that this was before I was going more and more into understanding everything. Like there was conversations that I've had with my sister that I realized that it was like the answers were there. I just never spoke, and like I just become anxious, and like I just shut down. I don't even know how to deal with that yet. And so we talked, and it was beautiful. But now I have a situation with him where he calls me, like he was starting to call me a lot. And I told him, I need you to stop doing that. Like, I'm okay. I know that you love me and I love you, and we don't need to have that.
Yeah.
And he would start telling me about, like, all the time we've lost together, and he wanted me to move with him. But I see it as I'm an adult now. I'm 29, and if anything, this should have been dealt with a long time ago. But thank God that it's being dealt with now. But um, I'm just coming to realizations to so many things. It kind of feels paralyzing at times. And I question every thought that crosses my mind to the point where I feel like I'm going crazy. And that's where I'm at, because I'm still living with my mom, and I know that even if I move out, it's still going to be the same situation.
Beautiful.
And it's just a day by day.
You know what? You're on your way, Jasmine. Things are working out. And the reason that you're feeling like you're going crazy and all that is because things are working out. You're starting to see, and that hell that made a home in you is having a hissy fit. It's not you that's going crazy. It's the hell that is acting out because it doesn't want to depart from you, but you're going to be fine. You really would. The real you, when all this hell disappear, and it will if you stay with it, the real you will appear, and it's going to be amazing. You're working on you. I'm telling you. The only thing, and number one, I don't see a reason for you to move in with your father either. You're a grown woman. You're making your own life, here on earth. You're working and doing your thing. You just need not to resent him, and you have forgiven him. And then you now have to face your mother. In order to be free, you got to face her, look at her, and say, hey, I'm sorry for resenting you, because I know now you can't help yourself. Once you see you have this resentment, and you do see it, once you forgive her, don't expect her to apologize. Whatever she does is on her. If she fall out and die, mama is dead. What the? And when you forgive her, God will forgive you, and He's gonna wake you up. I mean, you're waking up already, but you're gonna really start to see, and He will take that mama spirit away from you, and you will start to die from this false self, this ego nature of fear, suicidal thoughts, worry, anxiety, smoking pot, and all that. It will start to fade away. Layers and layers of that will disappear until it exists no more. You're doing just fine, but you got to face your mother. And once you face her, you need to move out and live your life. And you will be able to say yes and no to her. You will overcome the identity of guilt, because guilt is just another false identity that was imposed on you as a kid and as a young person. But all that stuff will disappear, and you're going to have a real life, because you're dying from the fake life, and you'll wake up to the real life. Right here on earth, you will have perfect peace. But you got to face your mother, and then you got to get out of there.
Yeah, it's just things that happen that I don't know, because it just all worked out for me to be there. And honestly, like, when I went through everything, the suicidal thoughts and having a connection with my dad again, I lost like 12 pounds. I wasn't eating at all, and I went through this dark, I don't even know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, to be honest, but it was just, I didn't know if I was coming or going. I was out of it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, a lot of things happen for me to have to be there. At the same time, it seems like I have lived on my own 2 times already, and both of the places that I've lived at, I've had like stalkers, and they're looking through my windows, or like the guy was like at my door, and he wouldn't let me go to work, and he just kept like following me back into the kitchen. I was looking for my gun in the gym bag, with situations like that. And so my thing was, like, the best option to do is just go back home. It is my house at the end of the day. But whenever I go through situations like that, where like I feel I need to defend myself, I get paralyzed, even in moments where I should react. Like when the guy was looking through my window, I just stopped, grabbed the gun, and I couldn't move. I just stood there, and I was scared. I don't know if I was scared, and I know that I have to defend myself, like you have to do things alone, but sometimes I paralyze in moments like that. I don't speak up, or I don't act. and I don't know how to deal with that area.
Right. Well, what you don't understand yet, once you deal with your mother, you're going to start dealing with everything in a perfect way. You won't be afraid of anything. Fear will disappear. You will no longer have fear. And you will be able to deal with every situation in the light and in a perfect way. You'll be fine. And right now, don't that moving be, don't think about moving right now. You got to work on you right now, and that means that you got to deal with your mother. And once you deal with her, and you're going to see when and if you need to move. And you're going to be able to move with no fear. You're going to be able to move out with freedom if you need to move. But right now, you're in a perfect place by being there to deal with her, and you're going to find yourself dealing with her in a perfect way on a daily basis. And life will start to work out for you. It will happen for you. You won't have to make it happen. But you will overcome fear and doubt and panicking and suicidal thoughts, because all those things are not you anyway. It's the spirit of evil. But you've been believing all this time that it was you, and it was never you. But all that will disappear once you deal with your mother. It's just a spirit of darkness that's in the mind and emotions. It's not light. It's not of God. It's pure evil. It's not of you. It's pure evil that made a home in your imagination and those emotions when you were traumatized as a kid.
Yeah. Another question that I had was, I smoke weed, and it's just been something that's on and off, and it's not like I'm an alcoholic or like I'm a pothead, but it's just something that I do occasionally. And one of the things when I went to her and I told her, I'm sorry for resenting you and everything, one of the things she asked me was, like, are you doing drugs again? And I told her, like, it's not about that. I'm telling you something that you can't play God. And I told her, I gave her an example. I'm like, what if we were in a room full of people? Could you tell me who is good and who is bad? Could you tell me who's going to go to heaven and who's going to go to hell? I'm like, do you know their hearts? And I'm like, I'm telling you that I don't want to talk. I'm avoiding the situation with you because I'm working on myself.
Yes.
And she's like, but when God is doing something in your life, he doesn't get you depressed, and he doesn't put you in the state that you're in, because I lost a lot of weight and stuff. And I told her, like, I'd rather shut up and not say anything than speak and say lies and be fake.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and like that moment, like I didn't even think, like, I want to continue to be that way. But there's moments where, like, I'm with her or with anyone, like, and like my thoughts just overwhelm me, and like I do the silent prayer, but it's just, those are moments where I wasn't angry when I told her. I didn't feel anything. I just spoke truth. Like, to me, it was true. And like, I don't know how to continue to stay in that. Like, I see myself sometimes go into that and then out of it, and I don't know how to stay in it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All you need to do is see that. See that you're going in and out of it. And seeing it is changing it. Because seeing it is the light of God that allows you to see the darkness. And there's nothing you can do about it but see it. And the one thing I want to encourage you as of this day, stop calling it you. It is not you. It's that evil spirit made a home in you. And so I want to encourage you not to call it you anymore, so you can stop identifying with it. And the more you stop identifying with it, the weaker it gets. And then you're going to find yourself without thoughts. And you're going to find yourself, because the Spirit of God will speak through you. He will use your mouth, your tongue, just as the devil been using it, to speak through you. And you will always be able to deal with everything in a perfect way. You're on the right track. You just need to stay there and know that it's not you. When you get caught up in a thought, the only reason that you still get caught up sometimes It's because you're not paying close attention. You're not catching them yet, but you will. You start catching the first thought, and once you catch the first thought, you will not give in to the second thought. But if you don't catch the first one, because the thoughts come really fast, if you don't catch the first one, you'll find yourself into the second one, and then a third one, then a fourth one, and now you're back into, your mind is in that darkness thing. But that's not you, and you're doing just fine. And every human being go through the same thing that those who want to overcome, they keep identifying with the thoughts. But if you just start to know, even if you are feeling that it is you, just start to know this is not me. Who is doing this? Who's talking to me like this? I would never tell myself this. I would never make myself feel this way. You will stop identifying with it, and eventually you wouldn't even have to tell yourself it's not you. You would just know it's not you. You will keep your eyes on yourself, and when you're conversating with other people, when you're at work, when you're doing, your eyes are on what's happening inside of you, meaning that you're aware of that, and that awareness is causing you to overcome the fallen state. You're on the right track. And so for now, when you find yourself going in and out, don't fall for the lie of frustration. Oh, I can't make myself stay out. I still have fear sometimes. It's not you at all. That's the spirit of evil. You're doing just fine. It is working. It is happening. You are overcoming the fallen state, meaning that the ego spirit, which you have been thinking with you all your life, is now dying. That's the death that Christ mentioned when he said that in order to live, you must die. And there are layers and layers of it. So you got to go all the way through hell in order to reach heaven. So you're doing just fine. Okay. And when it does happen, don't judge yourself. Just notice you're in a thought. It's not you. And just keep going. Don't judge yourself. Don't overreact. Just see it. That's all you need to do. And it's working. And as for the pot, don't worry about the pot. Don't judge yourself for smoking pot. Just notice you smoking pot. While you light it up, you put it in the paper, you roll it up. Be aware of yourself rolling it up. Be aware of yourself bringing it to your mouth, lighting it. Be aware of yourself smoking it. And you're going to notice that you're not going to get so into it, even though you may smoke it. You're not going to get so into it where it drives you totally unconscious and makes you think that everything is well, right? You're going to be aware, and then one day you reach for the pot and you won't have an appetite for it. The pot is not the problem. It's overcoming this fallen state. That's the problem. And you've been using the pot to deal with the conflict, to try to feel better, to escape the reality of what was happening inside of you. But you're on your way. You'll be fine. Are you doing the silent prayer every morning, every night?
I didn't do it last night, and I didn't do it this morning because after our call yesterday, my stomach hurted so much, and then I got a headache because I put myself on the spot, it feels like. So I didn't say, but I was. Before that, I was.
Oh, good. Well, just stay with that and stop. Yeah. And to, as of this moment, never, ever, 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 never, 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 ever judge yourself again. Because in all honesty, and I'm not lying to you, and I'm not trying to appease you, the real Jasmine has never done anything wrong in your entire life. It's impossible for the real Jasmine to do anything wrong. And God knows that. That's why he doesn't judge you, because all of our sins have been wiped away. We are sin-free, but we've been brainwashed to believe that we're not, and we have identified with the false self. It has always been the false self working through you, making you believe that it's you. And you've been judging yourself because you want to do right, but you can't do right. You don't want to do wrong, but you do wrong. It's something else must be driving me, and that's what's been doing wrong. It was never you. You are not a sinner, nor a saint. You are not wrong, nor right. You're not the mind, you're not the body, and you're not the feelings. It has never been you. It was something else working through you. So stop judging yourself. Don't take on the identity of judgment. Don't take on the identity anymore of suicidal thoughts or guilt and all that. All those identities are false identities that must die, and then you will appear, and you're going to have a life. Not only will your material life be fine, but your spiritual life will be amazing. And that's where you are. You are a spirit, and you want to return to that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So just know the feelings and the thoughts are not you, all right?
Okay, every single one of them.
Every single one of them. And you will, I promise you too, I'm not just saying this, I know this as a witness. Every single thought, when I first started saying that all thoughts are all lies all the time, some years ago, I didn't have the depths of how deep they were and how they all lie, because it just, as I'm dying away from them, it's amazing to know that it was never me. It was never the fear and the anxiety and the overreaction and all the worry, the shyness, whatever. It was never me. And likewise, it's not you. It's a false identity. And so all of them, Jasmine, that you get, except practical thought. You use practical thought like a tool. You know, you get in your car and go to work. You make a meal for yourself. You build a house. But when you're done with the hammer, you put it down. But all those other thoughts are all lies, no matter what they say. They're all lies.
Oh, I have a question, Jesse.
Yes.
So, for example, at work, I deal with a lot of companies that are trying to open up businesses.
Right.
And I have to be the one that speaks to them and kind of gets information and everything. So I can tell, like, I don't know, something just tells me when people are, like, fraud.
Yes.
And I'm the only one in the company they have doing that, because I don't know how, but I can tell when they're trying to do fraud.
That's the spirit of the Father. Go ahead.
I've come to the point where, like, I tell them this guy's going to do fraud. He ends up doing 50,000, 30,000, and they still don't listen to me.
Yeah.
So I'm to the point where, like, I just work here, you know. And
that's right.
I actually, when I came to the point where, whenever I was going through, like, the awareness of everything, I came to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't even want to work here anymore. It's stressful to know that I'm giving you guys answers and you don't consider them, and I'm over here arguing with people to fix these issues when I don't have nothing else to do. But the point is like with situations like that where I just, there's something that tells me something's wrong. What is that?
Nice. Hold on 1 minute. So, Jasmine, the reason you're able to see what's going on in other people, you can see when they're lying to you, when they're faking it. You can see whatever going on. It's the light of God that is allowing you to see what's going on inside of you. And when you can see what's happening inside of you, you're able to see the world outside of you. You see what's going on with other people as well, except that you won't judge them, because you know it's the same spirit that was driving you is driving them when they're trying to cheat or whatever. And so you won't be able to judge them, but you will be protected from them. And that's how God protects us from the world. First of all, he takes us out of the world by causing us not to be inwardly attracted to the world anymore, to only have faith in him. But he is allowing you to see that. I see that all the time in people. I can, without even trying, I don't try. I don't tell myself, oh, I'm going to pay attention to people and see what's going on. I just naturally see it now, and I understand it. I just move on with my life. Sometimes I point it out. Sometimes, most of the time I don't. But it's the light of God that is allowing you to see. Just as he's allowing you to see what's going on inside of you, he's allowing you to see what's going on outside of you so that you will not be deceived.
Okay, but again, that's the whole don't do anything about it because you're not God.
Right.
Or don't try to fix it.
Right. You do your job, and you report whatever information you need to give to your boss. And if your boss decides not to take that information, it's on him. At least you did your job. You tried to tell him, but it's his business. If he doesn't want to take it, that's on him. Don't even judge your boss for not taking information like that.
Yeah. The reason I ask also is because I don't know if you remember yesterday I told you about a guy that I ended up marrying because of business.
Yes.
Well, that guy, I kept telling him we should get divorced. We're done with everything. We should get divorced. And his dad ends up dying. He disappears. Now he's gone. His mom contacted the U.S. Embassy because technically he's gone missing and on a vacation he went on, and they don't know if he's dead or not. But I'm still married to him legally. And I kept telling him, when his dad died, I told him, get life insurance for yourself and for your family. I'm like, because when things like that happen, like shit pops off, not just in one area. And I gave him so many advice. I told him, don't get into stuff that you know are just gonna lead you to other things. Like, stay focused. Like, I told him to meditate. And this was before I even knew about you. And then to come to find out that 3 months later that he's gone MIA, it's like, now what do I do? Like, do I divorce him or do I just, like...
You divorce him, Jasmine, and go on with your life and let him suffer his hell. You can't make another person do right. You try to point the right way. If they don't accept it, you move away from that and live your life and let him live in his hell.
Yeah, because I just kind of held off to see, like, they were going to do, like, an investigation for him. And I don't know if he has, like, bank accounts and things like that. Like, I talked to his mom, and I told her I didn't want anything from him. I just wanted to just get divorced. And it sounds like to me, like, through the whole relationship, his mom was involved with everything.
Of course.
And, yeah, and she was kind of surprised. She's like, I heard about you, but I didn't know about you. And, like, she ended up going behind my back and selling his business because she thought I wanted to keep it or something like that. Yeah. I don't really know, to be honest.
A mama is not going to let any other woman take her son away from her. That's her husband.
Yeah, and so I just kind of just stayed in a still situation with that. I just didn't know, like, is it something I need to get divorced and, like, just, is that okay, or is that me being resentful or something? You know, I don't know.
You check yourself to see if you have anger. If you do, watch it, let it pass. But I recommend, do what you want, that you get a divorce and go live your life. It's not a real marriage anyway.
Yeah.
And so, and this mama ain't going to let you get nothing, no anything anyway. So why not, now that you can see what's going on, I would recommend you get a divorce and move on with your life, and whatever this guy's into, wish him well in his hell, and you move on.
Okay. Thank you, because you've covered so much. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do the silent prayer. Watch. Stop identifying with the spirits of all these crazy spirits that's inside of you right now. It's in your body. It's not in you. It's in the mind. It's and the feelings are in the body, but you're not your body. So it's not in you. It's just inside the physical body. But you're going to be fine. Just work on yourself. Do what you need to do in your life. I'm telling you, Jasmine, it's just going to get better. Stop identifying with the feelings and the thoughts.
Okay.
And all of them are lies. Don't believe any of them. Just let them pass. Don't call it good or evil. Don't call it right or wrong. Just let them pass. All right?
Thank you, Jesse.
All right. Call me again. I wish you well. Amazing conversation.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.